So today we are going to talk about the PL-SQL exceptions, and I suppose you must have understood or you must have gone through the other type of exceptions in other programming languages. If not, it's okay. But if suppose you have done in Python the except clause, okay, so you must have done that if suppose you have done Python. So why the exceptions are used in short? The exceptions are used for writing down your own errors, okay, because the errors which you get from the software whenever you write down the program and whenever you get the errors from the software, maybe many a times they are not understandable, or they are not readable, or one will not understand the meaning behind it. Because the thing is, when you are going to give that particular software to the client, then the client should understand what is your error is all about. Okay, if the error is getting shown that so and so employee number is not found, and if he's searching for some employee number or some order number in his business software, okay, and that order number is not present only, so instead of no data found, okay, or such data is not available, instead of that, if suppose we write it down clearly, this ordered number doesn't exist, okay, it would be more understandable. One can understand very easily. Okay, so for that the exceptions are written in PL-SQL also. Okay, so we are going to understand what is it all about and how to write them down. So let's start. Okay, so it is SQL prompt. I would just increase the font size, it would be easier for you to see it. Okay, so I'm working in my username Madhavi. Okay, and you can see here, I'll just go up, I'll just scroll up and I'll show you. It would be easier for me also to tell you. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, you can see here that I have logged in my username. Fine, and I'm trying various PL-SQL blocks. So I'm going to make use of this particular table, okay, employee table, right? And so when I'm going to use this particular table, it has few records, okay, and I'm going to execute the program in such a way, PL-SQL block in such a way that I'm going to work upon the range of the salary part. Okay, so here I have given one PL-SQL block. You can see that, and I suppose by now you know that employee is a table, ENO is a column, ename is a column, and sal is a column. Fine. Please have the habit of writing down the attributes and the table name, which can be understandable by the third person, and they are my memory variables. Okay, and the memory variables are generally given with m at the beginning. Obviously it is not mandatory, fine, but that's a style. And here you can see the exception. But what is the exception? We didn't understand about it. Okay, so I would just let you know what is the syntax of the exception. So whenever we write down the declare block, we see it something like this. I'll just show you. Fine. So declare, and I am writing it down here, the declaration statements. Fine. And I can write down the various variables or the columns which I am going to make use of in my table, and please keep it in mind they would be given as the memory variables. Okay, then in the begin block I write it down the executable statements. Okay, so the executable statements are something like, you can just have a look on the top. You can see here there is select statement, there is a dbms underscore output line. Okay, such statements can be given. Later on, we have learned till end, but then there is one block, that is exception, which is actually not mandatory, but you can give it. And these exceptions are of two types. Okay, one is the system defined exception. Okay, and the other is the user defined exception. So what do you mean by that? Now there are various exceptions which are available. Okay, and they have to be written either in the either way. Okay, and what is the idea behind it? When you look at this system defined exception, there is something like no data found, because they have been defined by the system. They have been defined by Oracle NG. So maybe no data found, there is a login error, there is too many rows. Okay, so or maybe if suppose you don't know what can be the error, and there are chances that the error can come and you want to give some message, you can give others. Okay, so in this manner there are many system defined exceptions, okay, which have been defined by Oracle 10g's SQL. And when you talk about the user defined exception, it is your own exception. Okay, so it is written in your own language, in your own uh, language, right? So it can be given, but when you give the system defined exception, okay, you are going to give it like this. Just a minute, I would write it down as the, yeah, this is a comment by the way. Okay, and I'm going to write it down: when no data found, then I want to write it down here, say no such order number. Okay, so it is something like that, and you don't have to declare it. Okay, you don't have to raise it, you don't have to call it. Now I am saying like this because when you give the user defined exception, you have to raise it. For that you have to define it. So under declaration statements, you are going to give here, say order number not found. This is my exception name, and I'm going to write down here exception. Fine. And in the begin block, I'm going to write it down here, raise, and what exception has been given, what exception name has been used. So here I'm talking about the user defined exception. Please don't get confused. Okay, and then I'm going to write it down here, when no data order number not found, then I can give here some DBMS statement. Fine. In this manner, we give the exceptions. Fine. And please keep it in mind when you execute any program. Fine. Then that time it gives you, okay, that particular error, and that error is given as, say, ORA hyphen 4567. It shows you in this manner. It gives you what, invalid syntax, something like that. When you execute, okay, at the time of execution you get this. Okay, so you can give the error, you can get the error from Oracle in this manner. But you don't want to give this invalid syntax. You don't want to give this no data found. You want to give here, if suppose no such order number, okay, if no order number is found, then just check order number is not entered, something like that. Fine. Then that time, instead of this invalid syntax type of error, okay, you would get that particular statement which you have given. Fine. So in this manner, the exceptions are given, and exceptions play an important role because when you want to give the errors in your own language, okay, and obviously you are learning, or you must be trying this SQL, okay, in the backend at this moment. But when you are going to work it with respect to, say, Java or say .NET, okay, then that time it would be a backend. Okay, so from backend to front end, the errors would be captured and would be shown. Fine. So this is the idea behind it. I hope you must have understood. We will see some more examples in the later tutorial. Thank you. Stay tuned.